Okay, I'm going to try this again. I just worked through every single problem, and the video was on when I started, but apparently the iPad ran out of room and it stopped videoing, I don't know, like after the third problem. So 20 minutes later, I realized that I had to start completely over. So sorry about that. Let's go. So the first problem is Janie went to the pool. 125 other children were at the pool that day. Janie noticed that only 1/5 of the children bought a floaty. How many of them brought a float to the pool? I actually did this one yesterday on the morning video, and I reminded you that you just take the whole number and you divide it by the denominator. And then you multiply it by the numerator, but the numerator is 1. So that tells us that 25 children brought a float to the pool. Okay, number 2. Sandy collected 100 seashells at the beach. She gave 1/5 of them to her sister. How many shells did she give her sister? We do it the same way. We take the whole number, we divide it by the denominator, multiply it by the numerator, and that is 20. So she gave her sister 20 shells. Matt helps his mom make fruit salad for the neighborhood cookout. Matt helps cut up 5 1/4 cups of strawberries, 6 3/4 cups of cantaloupe, 12 3/4 cups of watermelon, and 5 cups of grapes. How many cups of fruit salad will they bring to the cookout? Since they all have the same denominator, that makes it a little bit easier. The first thing I'm going to do is add my whole numbers, which are 5 plus 6 plus 12 plus 5, and that's 11 plus 12 is 23, plus 5 is 28. So my whole number right now is 28. Is that right? 16. Yeah. Okay, now I need to add, I'm going to move the computer so I can put the whiteboard underneath there. Okay, so we have a whole number of 28. Now we need to add the fractions. And we have 1/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. They all have the same denominator, so we don't change the denominator. We just add the numerators. 1 plus 3 equals 4 plus 3 equals 7. Now, we also have now an improper fraction, so we're going to have to change that into a regular fraction, a mixed number. So the way we do that is we think, how many times does 4 go into 7? 4 goes into 7 1 time. How many would we have left over? What would our remainder be? And our remainder would be 3. So that's our numerator, and then our denominator stays the same. So now we're just going to add that to our 28 whole cups, and we get an answer of 29 3/4 cups of fruit. Now you can put that dash to indicate a fraction, because when you type a fraction in, it actually looks like that, and you don't want it to look like 293/4. So to designate between the whole number and the fraction, you can do that. And then sometimes once you type something after that, some of those fractions will change themselves into littler fractions. I don't know, it's something in the formatting I can't explain. Okay. Jonas loves to visit the candy store at the beach. He bought 1/4 or 1/4 pound of sour gummy worms, 3/4 pound of M&Ms, and 3/4 pound of jelly beans. What was the total weight of candy that Jonas bought? again, we're just going to add the numerators because the denominators are the same. And 1 plus 3 plus 3 equals 7. So we have the same irregular fraction or improper fraction that we had in the last problem. And we figured out that 7/4 was the same as 1 3/4. So even though the problem's not exactly the same, that part of the problem is. Now this is what I was telling you, how the formatting can change. When I typed 1 here and 3/4, it changed it. So, I don't know. Anyway, so they bought 1 3/4 pounds of candy. Okay. For summer vacation, 1/4 of the students in Miss Jones' class went to camp. 1/2 of the students went to the beach. The rest visited family. There are 24 students in the class. How many students went to camp? How many went to the beach? How many visited family? So what you do is you've got to figure out the fraction of 1/4 of 24, 1/2 of 12, and then figure out what the difference is. So I think I said that wrong, but 1/4 of 24. Okay, 1/4 of 24. Basically, our whole number, we divide our whole number by our denominator. So 24 divided by 4 equals 6. And then we multiply it by the numerator, which is 1. So 1/4 of the students that went to camp means 6 students went to camp. Okay, for the next part, 1/2 of 24, figure it out, 24 divided by 2 equals 12 times the numerator. So 12 went to the beach, and then the rest went to camp. Well, the way I figured out, there's more than one way to get to the answer. But the way I get to the answer is I get 6 plus 12 equals 18. And then I subtract 24 minus 18, and that equals 6. So 6 visited family. So now I think a lot of us, if we didn't have COVID going on, would be going to camp, going to the beach, and visiting family. So maybe next summer. All right, Susie made 18 ice cream cones. 6 of them were strawberry. What fraction of the ice cream cones were strawberry? Well, they even gave you a picture to figure this out because they've given you 18 and they've divided them into groups of 6. And how many groups of 6 are there? There are 3 groups of 6, which that means that one of those groups equals 1/3 of 18. The other way you figure it out is 6 divided by 18, or 18 divided by 6 is 3. So one of those groups, there'd be 6 in each group, 3 groups of 6. Okay. Next. Jeremy scooped 48 ice cream cones in 1 hour. 6 customers asked for chocolate syrup on top. What fraction of the ice cream cones had syrup on top? That means what fraction, if we have 48 and 6 out of 48, well, it's actually easier than you think. 48 divided by 6 equals 8. So that means 1/8 of the customers asked for chocolate syrup on top. Okay. Susie made 24 ice cream cones. 8 customers wanted her to add a cherry on top. What fraction of the customers got an ice cream cone with a cherry on top? We do it the same way. 24 divided by 8 equals 3. So that means that 1/3 of the customers got ice cream. Got a cherry on top of their ice cream. Stephen's family drove 234 miles this summer. 1/3 of those miles were through Virginia. How many miles did Stephen's family drive through Virginia? Do it the same way, but we actually have to do the division this time because we don't know this one in our head. 234 miles divided by the denominator. 3, you can't put 3 into 2, so we're going to put 3 into 23, and it goes 7 times. So 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract, bring down the 4. 3 goes into 24 8 times. And we multiply by the numerator, which was 1. So that tells us that Stephen's family drove 78 miles through Virginia. Jacob and Anthony bought candy on the boardwalk. Jacob's bag weighed 2/5 pounds. Anthony's bag weighed 2/5 more pounds than Jacob's bag. How many pounds of candy did the boys buy in all? Okay, I bet some of you put 4/5 pounds. Well, that's only the first step because Anthony's candy was 2/5 more than Jacob's. So you've got to do Jacob's. Jacob's is 2/5 of a pound, and Anthony's is 2/5. Let me move the computer. And Anthony's is 2/5 plus 2/5 because it's Jacob's plus 2/5 more. So Anthony's is 4/5 of a pound, and Jacob's is 2/5 of a pound. We have to add them together. Denominator's the same, so we don't change the denominator. 2/5 plus 4/5 equals 6/5, which is an improper fraction, which means we have to make it into a mixed number. How many times does 5 go into 6? 1 whole time. And what would the remainder be? 1. So that is how much candy they bought. They bought 1 1/5 pound. Oh, there it is. I just gotta move it up. 1 1/5 pound of candy. Okay. I don't know if that should have an S or not because it's still singular. It's more than 1, but it's not 2 yet. So I'm not sure of the grammar of that. Maggie and Ellen bought candy at the candy store on the boardwalk also. Maggie bought 2/8 of a pound of candy. Ellen bought 3/8 more than Maggie. So Maggie bought 2/8 and Ellen bought 3/8 of a pound more. So Maggie bought 2/8 and Ellen bought 2/8 plus 3/8. So Ellen bought 5/8 of a pound. So now we have 2/8 plus 5/8. Yay! It's not an improper fraction. That's as simple as it gets. So what can be done? That one. So together the girls bought 7/8 of a pound of candy. Okay, moving on. Mariah's family, oh gosh, I'm going to run out of time because the YouTube video will only let me do 15 minutes. Mariah's family drove 456 miles this summer. 2/3 of those miles were through California. How many miles did they drive through California? Basically what you do, you divide 456 by 3, and then you multiply by 2. So I'm going to have to pause this video or stop this video and then resume in another video. So you be working out the problem. 456, you divide by the denominator, which is 2, and then you multiply by the which is 3. Sorry, divide by the denominator, which is 3, and multiply by the numerator, which is 2.